Let's go to Rich Edson in Washington with the latest on Biden's diagnosis. Rich.
Hi, good afternoon, Kaylee. Democrats and Republicans are offering former President Biden his family well wishes and prayers. After announcing his diagnosis, Biden wrote this morning that, quote, "Cancer touches us all. Like so many of you, Jill and I have learned that we are strongest in the broken places. Thank you for lifting us up with love and support." President Trump posted, "Melania and I are saddened to hear about Joe Biden's recent medical diagnosis. We extend our warmest and best wishes to Jill and the family, and we wish Joe a fast and successful recovery." Former Vice President Kamala Harris says she and her husband are hoping for a speedy recovery and, quote, "Joe's a fighter, and I know he will face this challenge with the same strength, resilience, and optimism that have always defined his life and leadership." Returning from Rome, Vice President J.D. Vance responded to questions about the former president.
We really do need to be honest about whether the former president was capable of doing the job. You can separate the desire for him to have the right health outcome with the recognition that whether it was doctors or whether there were staffers around the former president, I don't think he was able to do a good job for the American people.
And there are more questions about the former president's diagnosis and how long Biden may have had cancer.
He's had this for many years, maybe even a decade, growing there and spreading. A lot of people recommend not doing a prostate-specific antigen after 70, but President Biden's been in public life a very long time. He was vice president and had a lot of exams under 70, so it's a little surprising that they didn't do it.
This morning, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt called the White House physician phenomenal and said that the president's team of doctors at Walter Reed Medical Center is great. Back to you.
Thanks, Rich. And the news of former President Biden's cancer diagnosis comes just days after we heard the audio, much anticipated, of his 2023 interview with Special Counsel Robert Hur. Now, you may remember Hur refused to charge Biden with possession of classified documents, describing the president as a, quote, sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. Now we're able to hear that interview for ourselves. And in one exchange, Biden appears to forget several important dates, including when he left office as vice president.
Where did you keep papers that related to those things that you were actively working on?
Well, I don't know. This is what, 2017, 18, that area?
Yes.
No, it's
This photo was taken in 2022. Do you have any idea where this material would have been before it got moved into the garage?
Well, if it was 2013, when did I stop being vice president?
2017.
And it got worse. Biden seemed to forget the year that President Trump was elected in 2016, and he even forgot the year that his son, Beau Biden, passed away.
And so I hadn't at this point, even though I'm at Penn, I hadn't walked away from the idea that I may run for office again. So if I ran again, I'd be running for president. And so what was happening, though, month did Beau die? May 30th,
2015.
Was it 2015 he had died?
2015.
I think it's 2015.
I'm not sure the months are, but I think that was.
Yeah.
That's right, Mr. President.
And what's happened in the meantime is that Trump gets elected in November of 2017? 2016. All right. So, why do I have 2017 here?
That's when you left office, January of 2017.
Okay. But that's when Trump gets sworn in.
Right.
January.
Right. Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Correct. And in 2017, Beau had passed, and
You know, our heart goes out to the former president anytime cancer is involved. It's heartbreaking to hear. The questions I really have, Harris, are for Biden officials, because you hear that audio, and my concern goes to our service members overseas who are serving in the line of duty, who had a commander-in-chief, and they have to sit there and wonder if the Situation Room conversation sounded like what we just heard. On the note of Biden officials, these are the individuals that I hope to get some accountability from. Watch this.
What I saw of that report last night, I believe is, as a former prosecutor, the comments that were made by that prosecutor, gratuitous, inaccurate, and inappropriate. So the way that the president's demeanor in that report was characterized could not be more wrong on the facts and clearly politically motivated.
You're left to wonder why this report spends time making gratuitous and inappropriate criticisms of the president.
Look, as it relates to his age, as it relates to what has been said in this report, it is something that we don't believe lives in reality.
Well, Kamala Harris was right. It was inaccurate. I don't think it went far enough. I mean, I think it could have come with the detail that we get when we listen to that tape today. Not only should that man perhaps not be prepared to face justice, why in the world was he dealing with nuclear policy for the United States? Like, this isn't somebody that we could trust at that point. He couldn't remember dates of things that were monumental. When were you the vice president of the greatest country in the world? You don't remember that. And that was years ago. Like, if you ask him that question today, 5, 6 months, a few months after November 5th, what does it even look like today? Look, you started off appropriately, just as President Trump set the tone today, with, of course, we understand with all our heart the challenge that lay ahead for him as now a cancer patient, cancer victim. But we also, at the same time, can ask questions that are for the good of the country.
Yes.
Was he sick? Did they continue treatment for him? When did they know? All of those things. And if we're to believe that they just found 4th-stage cancer, you know, prostate cancer doctors are telling me today it's one of the easiest things to find. So were they not doing the in-depth look at him over time? We knew that they wouldn't allow him to take an acuity exam, which clearly he should have had. But all of this just brings into question, what did President Trump inherit? Yeah. What is that like behind the scenes? Getting a presidency handed to you by Joe Biden.
Yeah. You know, this has gone under the radar, but I think it's very important, Guy. This is an excerpt from the upcoming book as published by The Atlantic. This is from 2020. Okay, 2020. Think about that. As Biden's running for office, Biden would sit in a room with several monitors beaming the faces of real Americans in front of him. The videos came back, hours of footage. Some on the team couldn't believe their eyes. The videos were horrible, one top Democrat said. He couldn't follow the conversation at all. I couldn't believe it, said a second Democrat. It was like a different person. It was like watching grandpa who shouldn't be driving. This is 2020, and you let this man run for president. And what happened between 2020 and 2024? Abbey Gate happened. And I have real questions. Yeah. And those service members, they deserve answers. Their families deserve answers.
That excerpt, as you point out, was from half a decade ago. And you had the entire Democratic Party, the White House, and most of the press insisting not only was he fine over the ensuing 4 years, he was fit to serve until 2029 as president of the United States. That is the scope of the scandal that we're dealing with. As for the cancer, I think Tim Carney, who's a conservative writer, said it very well today. He said, President Biden deserves our prayers. He does not deserve the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the timing of any of this. It feels naturally unseemly to ask questions about the timing of something like this being announced. But given all of their actions for years that we now are aware of, and given the fact that this dropped on Friday night, the tapes, and then they're trying to put a button maybe on the weekend, a Sunday night release of the cancer determination or announcement, there are going to be reasonable questions, especially given what Zeke Emanuel said. That's a doctor on the left who was appointed to a board by President Biden. That's not some right-wing conspiracy theory. That is a fair question to ask.
Yeah, let's bring in another doctor from MSNBC, Dr. Vin Gupta, who raises yet another question. He compared some medical reports from Bush, Obama, Trump, and Biden. Listen.
It is interesting to note that President Trump's, President Obama's, and President Bush II, in their most recent physicals, in their terms of office, obviously 2025 for President Trump, did comment on their PSA levels. And so they got screened while in office, and they commented on it. It's not easy to access the most recent ones from President Biden. You can read the summary articles. I couldn't access it on the archive site on the White House.
That's the question, Ainsley. Was there a PSA test?
Well, we need to find out. And we're all baffled. How could a president of the United States have stage 4 cancer spread to the bones when they are supposed to be getting checked constantly and regularly? My dad has been through all of this. He gets checked, I think, like every 6 months. PSA levels high. Then he goes in for biopsies, whatever it takes. Put him on medication. They're always monitoring him. So when it's the president of the United States, you would think that that would be protocol for him. All the doctors and experts in several of these articles this morning, it's inconceivable that this was not found before he left the presidency. How could it be stage 4, such a late stage? It can be detected with a routine blood work. For even the most aggressive form, it's 5 to 7 year journey without treatment before it becomes metastatic. So who missed this? And the reason we can't trust some of these reports, the reason we believe maybe he had it for longer or knew about it for longer and was trying to cover it up during the election, I'm not accusing him of that. It just makes us wonder because we haven't trusted him before. The Democratic Party, after the Hur report, they said that they blasted Hur. They insisted Biden was sharp. We saw with our own 2 eyes during that debate that was not the case. They had covered it up. They had lied to us. Are they lying to us now?
Yeah, and let's bring up the reason we don't have the answers we seek, Lisa. Watch this. This is what they told you.
He's very lucid, very well informed.
We've spent way too much time talking about this president's age.
Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever.
I don't deny that it was a bad debate performance. That's different than whether or not the president is up to the job. He's clearly up to the job.
His mental acuity is great. It's fine. It's as good as it's been over the years.
He is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
He is strong. He is strong behind doors, and he's strong when he's in front of the cameras.
Lisa.
Yeah, I mean, what else are they lying about? I mean, look, 40% of Americans will likely be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetimes. My uncle passed away from cancer. It's something that we have all been impacted by as a country. And on a human level, our hearts and our empathy goes out to the president. But while that can take place, we can also remain steadfast in the pursuit of the truth. And this announcement does come at an interesting time as these revelations have surfaced with the book Original Sin, also with the audio recordings from his interview with Robert Hur. Also, President Biden has a history of covering things up and also leveraging suffering and cancer as well for political purposes, like he has done with his son, Beau. Also, from that interview with Dr. Zeke Emanuel, the architect of Obamacare and oncologist, he speculated that this did not develop in the last 100 to 200 days. He likely had it when he was president, the start of his presidency in 2021, which would also mean that the health report, the last public report we got on February 28, 2024, when we were told that he was fit for duty, was a lie. And just to end this and to summarize it, why this context matters is even the interview with Robert Hur took place 2 days after the October 7th terror attacks. So we are dealing with a botched withdrawal from Afghanistan, a terror attack, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, incidents and events that could have led to larger regional wars and world wars at a time when not only the president was mentally unfit to be president, but also potentially had cancer.
Yep, lots of questions. And I know who has subpoena power, Congress, so they can get answers.
Hey, everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.